Hey you guys, it's Britt. Tonight we're here to talk about Rawbeautykristi, Peter Monn, and the internet's short-term memory. I have quite a few thoughts, so if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so there has been so much conversation around Rawbeautykristi because of some of the content that Peter Monn has been making about Kristi. And initially, I wasn't sure what to think of this, what to even expect. But a couple of my followers over on Instagram inquired with me, so I went over to Peter's channel and had caught up on his videos. I've just been super busy, especially the last week or so, just trying to juggle everything with the 8 passenger situation and my full-time job and my life outside YouTube. It's just been kind of a lot, and I'm also trying to always balance how much I'm taking in on the internet because I'm a very, in a lot of ways, I'm a very self-aware person, and I don't want to ever burn myself out or just, become so frazzled where it's like I just fall off the radar for a month because I overdid it. I really like creating content, and I really like taking in content from creators that I enjoy, but I also try to keep it in check. And so, whatever, I'm explaining for no reason. But either way, I went over and listened to what Peter had to say about this, and I'm not going to react to his videos, but I do want to have a conversation about kind of this idea of predator protectors and influencers who support really awful people on these public platforms. This entire conversation started because Peter mentioned how Rawbeautykristi was still following and publicly supporting James Charles. And as we all know, if you follow any of this influencer drama or anything, even if you don't follow influencer drama, I'm sure that you know how awful James Charles is. He has been exposed multiple different times. Most people who have an intact conscience have come to the same realization that James Charles is just somebody who does not deserve his platform. He does not deserve attention that he receives, the respect that he receives current day. He's just an awful individual, and for Rawbeautykristi to be such a large creator and still publicly support James Charles, that is a huge issue, which Peter brought forth and discussed in great detail, and he did a great job sharing his thoughts about it. Now, I want to talk about this because there's two different things. There is just the obvious issue of somebody like Rawbeautykristi supporting somebody like James Charles, but there's also this other subset of the internet having a short-term memory when it comes to awful people who have been exposed on social media. I see this constantly. If you guys have been following the Colleen Ballinger situation, you will also know that the Colleen conversation is already slowing down. And this is literally months old. She was exposed, and people are already slowing down talking about it. And I've mentioned this before. People stop talking about stuff when it is no longer hot tea or something that's going to get them a ton of views. But I will talk about things that I'm passionate about until I'm blue in the face. And sometimes I don't care if people are tired of hearing about it. Some of these conversations are just very important. And if nobody else wants to talk about them, I will be one of the few that continues to carry on the conversation. I'm very happy to do that. And if some people get burnt out, that's fine. I'll put out other videos for you guys. But there are some things that need to be talked about and talked about over and over and over again to remind everybody, why on earth is somebody like this even being supported by anybody? We have displayed the evidence. We have presented all of the facts, proven that they are a terrible person, and they're still going down 6 months later and getting partnerships and brand deals and collabs and having other large creators shout them out. Like, it is wild to me. Now, Peter, in this video that he put out a couple days ago saying, Rawbeautykristi, you are the drama today, sorry not sorry, he talks also about like PR from influencers. And I actually talked about James Charles sending JoJo Siwa his makeup products and JoJo sharing that publicly, that James was at her house and they were hanging out in person. And this was all when the Colleen Ballinger stuff had not yet kind of cooled down. It was still being talked about very, very loudly by a lot of YouTubers. And so I found that really interesting, that JoJo, you are an adult. You have a voice to say, I don't want your products. I don't want your PR, and I don't want to be your friend. That might sound very harsh, but for me, when it comes to who I choose to surround myself with, I've talked before about how my circle is very small. And that also applies to people who I support online. It's just who I am. And I don't know, some people might want to have a lot of friends and a lot of people they call acquaintances or whatever. I would rather have a couple of really good, solid friends that I can trust than a group of, 30 acquaintances and a couple of good friends. That's me personally. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong for everybody, but I think as you get older, you really start to kind of whittle down who gets access to you and who you want to spend time and energy with. At least for me, it's been that way. And it's just gotten down to just a few people. And I trust those people with my life. I trust them with all of my secrets, my life, my feelings, my emotions, everything that I have going on. I trust these few people that I have in my life, and I'm so grateful for them. Peter mentioned how he had a cordial relationship with Kristi, and they had this phone call and all of this kind of stuff. I want to talk for a second about YouTubers who there's two different things. There's and I've kind of gotten in, people love to manipulate what I say and do. That's just the way it's been since the very beginning of my channel. But I've said before how I don't really like shouting out YouTubers anymore, because if I shout out a YouTuber and I've talked to them a couple times behind the scenes and said, hey, cool video, or shared my thoughts on something, there's a time and a place as to when to expect a creator to make it publicly known that they no longer support another creator. And I think with expecting Rawbeautykristi to come out and publicly make her stance known and not avoid this, because to my knowledge she has avoided it. She went ahead and put a latte makeup tutorial up, but she didn't put out a video talking about her supporting James Charles. I think there's a time and a place to expect creators to go ahead and come out and be public about how they feel. And I don't think that it's unfair or far-fetched to expect that from Kristi with this James Charles situation. That's just how I feel. I am just one viewer of millions when it comes to people on YouTube. I don't think that there's any problem with her viewers or fellow creators expecting her to address this. And I was looking through the comments on Peter's video, and somebody said, she lost me when she started blocking her dedicated supporters for respectfully inquiring about her support of James. There's something really ick to me about a person in the influencer creator space who are only willing to listen to yes men. I think that applies to so many creators, and at first I was going to say large creators, but I don't think that it's just a large creator problem. I think it's just a creator problem of once they get more than the attention that they were, I guess, maybe initially expecting, a lot of their channels do turn into this place where there is not conversation allowed, and they have mods that will block you, and if you are there to ask questions or give criticism, you will be blocked, and then you're labeled as a hater or a detractor or somebody who just doesn't want to see this person succeed. And that has nothing to do with it. It usually has everything to do with that creator either abusing their power, spreading misinformation, being toxic, being problematic, and people not liking what they're seeing and not having a voice because you are deleted, blocked, and labeled as whatever they want to label you. Here's another comment that says, mental health isn't an excuse to be an a-hole and treat people bad. I can't stand when people use that as an excuse. As for Kristi, if she thinks her mental illness is an excuse that she can use, she wasn't too mentally ill to like James Charles photos. Mental illness isn't an excuse. You guys, like, people constantly use mental illness as an excuse for so many things that they do online. I think the reason that a lot of people really struggle with this Rawbeautykristi thing, and I hope that more creators talk about this. I saw Dustin Daly talked about it. I saw Rich Lux talk about it, and obviously Peter Monn, which I'll link all their videos down below in case you guys want to hear other opinions about this. But the reason that a lot of people have an issue with Kristi is because for so long she was drama free and she stayed out of drama, and she wasn't like the other beauty influencers. She was just doing her own thing, and I think she stayed true to who she was for as long as she could until this, and now we again see who she is, just like so many other YouTubers. I think a lot of these big creators too, it's like, I don't know why they're so afraid to sever friendships. And for me, I know, like earlier in the video when I was talking about my circle being kind of whittled down over the years to just a few people that I really do trust with my whole life. You know, part of being an adult is cutting people off. And if they are truly doing things that are that awful and not disgusting, like who James Charles is, I don't understand why it's such a big deal to cut him off and tell your followers, I don't trust this person. I no longer like what he is doing, and therefore this is how I feel about it, and I am moving on with my content. It's not easy to necessarily call out some of these YouTubers. I've had my fair share of run-ins with people who I've made commentary about, and their fans absolutely drag and attack me over just simply not liking somebody that they have deemed worthy. And I see the problems from a mile away. I voice the problems and I move on with my content. It's really not that deep. But there are just some people who have a big problem with accountability culture when it has to do with somebody that they have deemed as, oh, this person is just so wonderful, how could you not like them? Even though you are presenting the evidence in literally black and white text in front of them, they will completely ignore that and make it out as if you are just running this weird smear campaign, even though you've backed up everything that you're saying with actual evidence. It's very strange. It's very strange to kind of exist on YouTube, and unfortunately that's why I do limit shouting out creators, because I don't want to be held accountable for someone else's content just because I said, hey, you know, I've talked to this person a couple times, they seem cool, their content seems cool. The few times that I've done that, it always gets turned around and slapped right back in my face. So I am very selective with the people who I am super loud about supporting, and I think you guys know who those creators are at this point. And if any of them turn into predator protectors, you better bet your ass I'm going to sit on my channel and make a video about it, because that is part of accountability culture, and that is part of displaying your morals publicly. There is no reason to run from calling somebody out who is displaying egregious, disgusting behavior. So I'm going to read this one last comment before I let you guys go, because I find this interesting. I didn't know this, but somebody said Kristi was always money obsessed. From the times of her renovating the old homes to those collabs affording her the mushroom, Lord of the Shire house of her dreams. She absolutely keeps up to date on the drama. Numerous times she's made slick comments about people buying Cartier bangles and Chanel bags. She is that high school girl that wants to belong to the it crowd, but doesn't like them, so she feels lost and tries to create her own lane, or tries to prove she can buy what they can buy so she can belong. Yeah, she might not be buying Balmain or flying on a private jet, but look at the stuff she does have. That woman has money. She just wants to remain looking relatable so her audience will keep supporting her. That is very interesting. I find that to be very interesting. There is something to be said for people. I find it interesting because, yeah, like some of these influencers aren't necessarily dripping in Chanel or doing the kind of stuff that like maybe Jeffree Star used to do with like all of his materialistic garbage. But there are some of these influencers who might not be doing that, but it also doesn't mean that they're humble or necessarily doesn't make them relatable, if that makes sense. So anyway, I wanted to make this video. I am covering all the 8 passengers stuff, and an update will be coming next on that, but I felt like this was important. I wanted to give Peter some support on the things that he's calling out regarding Kristi, and like I said, I will link his videos down below, as well as Destiny Daily and Rich Lux, because I know that they have also made videos about this specific topic. So if you're interested, you can check out all of those videos, but yeah, I think that's enough for today. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.